Betsy DeLacy. I'm called a patient's representative. My job is to admit them into the hospital. I'm the first one they see when they walk in the door and the last one to see when they leave. When they get their bills in the mail, they think of me. I think my name is listed along with the fire and police department on their telephone. Who to call in emergencies? She works in a 540-bed hospital and 35 patients are in her charge. She wears a navy blue dress with a yellow collar and yellow sleeves. They get to know me not only as a person, but as a uniform. I've become sick of navy blue. I don't have any identification marks as a person. I'm recognized as a department when I wear this uniform. I go home with it. I crawl out of bed and get into it. I don't look in my closet and decide what I'm going to wear that day. I handle patients A, B, J, and K. We call insurance companies and find out what their benefits are. Then we code the count for the computer. We type up all the necessary forms. This is called pre-admit. We let you know what your benefits are so you won't have to worry about your hospital bill. Our rooms are $75 a day. If the insurance pays only $25, that man's going to owe $50 out of his own pocket every day he's here. I get the money ahead of time. You don't have insurance, there must be a $500 deposit. You have to come walking in here with $500 if you're going to be put to bed. When you ask for money, first thing he comes in, it tends to upset the patient sometimes, unless you put it in a way that they're most grateful. I find the best way to do that, without myself being yelled at and called names, is to charm the patient, and they calm down. Are you aware what your benefits are? Do you have the means to pay the other $50 a day? They think you're informing them rather than demanding money, but you are demanding money. When I visit you, I've warned you and I've joked about it. I've taken the edge off the whole thing, so it's not a big shock. I'd rather go up to you and say, "Sir, you owe $200, than not bother you. And one day you walk out and you owe $1,500 and have to drop your teeth and have another heart attack." Healthcare is expensive, you know. I don't feel I represent the patient. I represent the hospital. I represent the cashiers. I'm the buffer between the patient and the collection department. This job could be done with a little more finesse. There are times when we dun the patient while he's in bed. Tomorrow, can you have $300 paid on this bill? I have no problems. A few patients think this is a little crude. Also, doctors are very good about warning patients to bring some deposit in the hospital if your insurance is not adequate. If he can't bring in $500, you ask him how much he can raise. We work out weekly, monthly payments. Most patients are very understanding and cooperative. We've had a few we've asked to leave. The doctor is the only one who can discharge the patient. If he suggested you be in 10 days, maybe you could go home in 5. This is brought to the doctor's attention because it affects the bill. Then the doctor decides he can go home. You're doing the patient a favor. You might be saving him $500. The guy's not kicked out of bed, "Sorry, sir, no more money, no more bed." It's done with finesse. We visit our patients as often as we can, so they get to know us as their representative. Are you comfortable? Are you satisfied with your food? Then, when he gets to know me, I know your account is going to be a problem. I'm not looking for money, but if the patient doesn't ask such questions, I mention it. I sort of joke with them and then lay it out and sock it to them. They want the bill explained. It's computerized, and it had taken me about 3 weeks to understand when I started out on this job. The patient's just looking at all these figures and doesn't know what's coming off. Computers make it worse than before. You used to have 3 cashiers. You now have 7. There's the coding, there's the sorting, there's the tearing apart of pieces of paper. At one time, all you had to do was write a little figure in the corner and that was it. Something very simple you used to do in 5 minutes now takes you 5 days. Hospital costs have gone up since computers. The cost of an error is so fantastic, where if you're paid $10 and I've written down a receipt for $100, it's a simple little mistake. All I had to do was scratch out the 100 and write 10. Now if that kind of error is made, it ties everything up for 5 days. I really do like to visit patients and chatter. Most of them, they're laying in bed watching the same old soap operas they've been watching all day. I walk in the room. I can walk down the hall with my chin dragging. I'm tired and I'm hot. The minute I hit that room, shoulders back and a big smile on my face, I go bursting in there like gangbusters. They sit up in bed, they straighten their gowns, they pull up their sheets and they turn off the TV. They're really glad I've come. One guy turns up the set when I come in. He doesn't need me and he's telling me that. I will not mention the bill to a dying patient if I can talk with the family. A relative will be grateful to me because I didn't pester the patient. There's no problem here. That's the worst thing about my job, though. I really hate to say. Oh, did I mention the $400 to you? Sometimes I'll sit there and chat for 15 minutes and sort of squeeze that into the conversation. All of a sudden, the visit is cancelled and the business has begun. I try to avoid it, but sometimes I have no choice. People see hospitals as money first and health second. On our admitting forms, we ask all these questions. Next of kin, who's going to pay the bill, and fill out all these blank squares. The last question is, what is wrong with you, sir? I'd rather see patient care first and your financial problems second. Not all my visits are for collection. A guy just had his leg amputated, doesn't have anybody, so I go visit and shoot the breeze with him. Is he going to be able to take care of himself when he gets home? If he's going to live in a 3rd floor flat and he doesn't have anybody home, this bothers me. He's my patient because he's my letter in the alphabet. When the account's taken care of, I become his friend. Isolated patients are on my mind. I had one little girl who had rheumatic fever. She was very ill, Spanish. They had very limited insurance, and her bills were just soaring. I talked to the oldest son, who was 17. I took their application to public aid, but he was denied because both parents were working. I got her transferred to La Rabida. They still owe us $1,500. They've made arrangements to pay $40 a month. It's sad. But this is an 8-hour day thing. I can walk away from the job and not worry about it. I used to work at Weibolt's, the department store, and head cash, counting all the money taken in the day before, getting it ready for the bank. I never saw the customer I only saw his money. I've worked in drugstores, managing a cash register. Everything I've done is money, some way or another. It's hard for me to deal with the emotional factors. When people ask me, I don't like to say I'm in collections. If I'm going to work in collections, I'd rather say I work at Wyvils. It seems strange that you should have a collection department in a hospital. Patient representative has a better sound to it. Nobody knows what it's all about. It's like any organized business. They give people such titles that nobody knows what they're all about. I'd like to see one insurance for all people, one plan, socialized. Free medical care would be wonderful. But I don't know how it would be supported. We'd only end up paying for it through taxes. That would tend to irritate people. Intelligent people realize healthcare is expensive. They realize hospitals don't make profits. Hospitals misuse money badly, but that's poor management. That's what I was in at the other hospital. We were on a cash basis. If you didn't have insurance, you paid cash. It hurt those other girls to sit there and ask for money. It didn't bother me. I wasn't out there doing it. I'd say, if he doesn't have the money, he can come back tomorrow. He's not gonna die. It was easy to have an attitude like that. But I'm the other end of the stick now. I don't get in many arguments with patients. They're more or less at my mercy. They can't say too much. Once you're in the hospital and you owe me money, if I talk to you in a sympathetic way, you're not going to get too sarcastic about it. If you owe me money, I can't ignore that fact. You may be sick and dying, and I like you a lot, and you make me cry and all that. I still gotta go in and talk to you about your bill. That's what's hard. Postscript. She has since been transferred to the accounting department, where she is in charge. She has, and this occupies most of her leisure time, joined Jehovah's Witnesses.